The pale February dawn breaks over the arid plains outside Tetouan. Colonel Mateo stands rigid beneath his heavy wool greatcoat, his polished command staff planted firmly in the dry earth. Behind him, disciplined infantry await the first orders, their bayonets catching the fragile morning light as the campaign begins. A few miles east, the Lucena River mirrors the quiet sky. A Moroccan scout captain rides slowly across the shallow ford, his weathered leather jacket catching the cool breeze. His steady gaze tracks the approaching Spanish vanguard, knowing that this tranquil waterway will soon become a critical tactic. As the sun climbs higher, the Spanish artillery lines, a line against the ancient stone ramparts. The battery commander grips his firing lanyard, his chest heaving beneath a dust-stained tunic. Synchronized cannons point skyward, their barrels trembling with anticipation as the thunderous bombardment shakes the dust from the battlements. On the stone parapet, a Moroccan wall captain stands rigid, his muscular shoulders squared beneath a heavy wool cloak. Beside him, archers rest their hands on leather quivers, watching the Spanish columns press forward with By midday, the stone walls yield to relentless firepower. Through the gaping breach, a Spanish assault sergeant marches forward, his heavy oak shield raised against falling debris. Grenadiers follow in perfect rhythm, their fixed bayonets gleaming as disciplined infantry pour through the... Beyond the breach, the narrow stone passages of the Medina tighten around the advancing troops. An old Moroccan militia leader grips a long wooden spear, his linen tunic dusted with pulverized masonry. Scattered defenders hold the dim alleyway. The Spanish infantry lieutenant navigates the uneven cobblestones with tactical caution, his polished wooden rifle held ready. Riflemen follow closely, their boots striking the ancient stones in measured cadence. Bayonets catch the filtered light as the column advances. Emerging into the central plaza, the Spanish forces encounter a sudden resistance. A Moroccan cavalry commander stands beside a weathered stone fountain, his riding crop raised against the golden hour light. Troopers rest their hands on leather saddles, horses shifting weight slowly as mounted units prepare. As twilight descends, the campaign reaches the fortified palace grounds. An elite guard captain stands rigid against a marble pillar, his heavy halberd planted firmly on the polished stone. Halberdiers flank him, eyes scanning the courtyard as dense lines of guards secure the perimeter against the fading. Torchlight flickers across the arched passageways, casting long, dramatic shadows. A Moroccan palace guard captain balances against a stone balcony, his polished wooden sword drawn. Sentries rest their hands on leather hilts, watching the Spanish vanguard approach the inner chambers with quiet resolve. Beneath the vaulted ceilings, the campaign shifts to quiet command. A Spanish staff officer stands beside a heavy oak table, gripping a polished brass compass. Orderlies flank him, eyes scanning the grand hall as dense lines of command staff coordinate the final maneuver. The corridor leading to the throne room grows tense. A Moroccan royal guard captain stands rigid in the carved doorway, his wooden staff raised against the flickering torchlight. Blade bearers rest their hands on leather hilts, scattered guards holding the narrow passage as the Spanish advance draws near. Dawn approaches, but the fighting continues in the dark. A Spanish vanguard commander stands firm on the marble step, his heavy wooden standard raised high. Officers flank him, eyes scanning the grand hall as dense columns of infantry push forward, their bayonets catching the warm fire. Moonlight filters through the aged citrus trees as the Moroccan defense fractures. A retreat officer stands beside a stone fountain, his riding crop signaling the withdrawal. Horsemen flank him, hands resting lightly on leather saddles, while scattered troops slip along a manicured. The second dawn breaks over a pacified city. A Spanish garrison sergeant stands firm on the stone rampart, his heavy wooden rifle resting against the parapet. Lookouts flank him, scanning the horizon as dense lines of troops secure the battlements. transforming ancient defenses into a new occupation. Life slowly returns to the market district. An elder merchant stands beside a wooden cart, his polished walking stick planted firmly on the cobblestones. Traders flank him, hands resting lightly on their goods, as scattered civilians emerge from the shadows to observe the quiet Spanish occupation. The coastal waters grow busy with fresh supplies. A Spanish naval lieutenant stands on a wooden pier, gripping a heavy brass bell rope. Sailors flank him, eyes scanning the calm sea as dense lines of naval detachment prepare for docking, securing the vital maritime supply route. High above the harbor, the rugged cliffs provide a commanding vantage point. A Moroccan watch captain stands on a rocky outcrop, his polished signaling staff raised. Signalers flank him, hands resting lightly on their flags, monitoring the anchored fleet from the sparse desert vegetation above. The military logistics expand across the open terrain. A Spanish quartermaster stands beside a supply wagon, gripping a heavy wooden crate handle. Muleteers flank him, hands resting lightly on their loads, as dense lines of supply troops manage the inventory beneath the fading afternoon light. The campaign concludes beneath a golden sky. Marshal Serrano stands on a marble pedestal, his heavy command staff raised in quiet triumph. Aides flank him, eyes scanning the assembled troops as dense formations hold perfect alignment, marking the organization.